Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Weird 28 and I like to stream Tarkov on Twitch, part of the Weird News Network. Today I wanted to go over some of the health system and how it works in Tarkov in order to better help some of the newer players get into the game. I recognize it can be a very confusing system, especially when you're coming from something like Call of Duty or Apex, where it's simple like press this one button or just give it time. Tarkov obviously is a lot different. So in Tarkov, we have our overall health, 440 points, and it's dispersed throughout our body at different amounts. So the arms are worth 60 points, thorax 85, stomach 70, legs 65, and head 35. Now, when you get shot, different parts of the body will take the impact. So if someone shoots in the arm, initially you're going to have your arm start to lose health. If your thorax is going to lose health. It goes until that number hits 0. Once that number hits 0, if they keep shooting you there, it gets dispersed throughout the remaining parts of the body. They could shoot multiple spots and lower health at multiple spots as well. But basically, that's what you have to watch out for. Now, the impact of what those shots do to your body can vary. So I'm going to switch over here. So your head and thorax... by the way, this Escape from Tarkov wiki website has so much information. I highly recommend it. So head and thorax, basically, if it gets down to 0 from getting shot, you die. Okay? Stomach, pretty much the same thing as well. You can still survive with a blacked out area of the head, thorax, or stomach as long as it's coming from draining health from somewhere else. So what that means, like say you're shot in the arm and the arm's blacked out. As it keeps getting shot and you're losing health, if your head or thorax gets blacked out, then you can survive unless you take one shot there or your total health hits 0. What I mean by blacked out is when we get back to this page where we have this number, when it hits 0 out of 60 or 0 out of 65, then it gets blacked out. So on your human body here, it will show it almost darkened, and you can't heal it as it is by itself. Another problem with the stomach, head, or thorax getting blacked out. With the stomach, your dehydration and energy loss is significantly increased. So you will more quickly die from dehydration and lose health faster as well. Basically, if your stomach, thorax, or head are blacked out and you're still alive, you want to get out of there. So make for extract right away. They cannot be surgically repaired. Now, your arm or leg, if they get blacked out, you can actually surgically repair it and start to give health back to it, and we'll get to that. Now, there are a bunch of different indicators here you can see as far as what's going on with our body. So this first one is called a light bleed. It looks like a couple little blood droplets. If that happens, you have a whatever the injury was, the shot was, you're starting to bleed and will gradually lose health. A heavy bleed, you will lose health at a much faster rate. They both need to be addressed pretty quickly. A fresh wound, typically after you've healed it, you'll get this symbol here, so you've stopped the bleed, you'll get this symbol here. You need to give it time so that the wound completely closes. Otherwise, if you get shot again or you start running, you could reopen the wound and start bleeding again. This symbol here is a fracture. This one is for pain effect. This is a contusion. So each of these has an impact. For example, a fracture, it's going to be harder for you to move your gun. Same thing if your limb's blacked out. If it's on your leg, it's going to cause damage to you while you're running and will make it so you can't run unless you're taking pain meds. The contusion will decrease your audio and senses. A tremor, it'll feel like your eyes are kind of out of focus. Typically, if you have a fracture, you're going to get a tremor, which leads to one of the quests you have. Tunnel vision, it almost looks like the outsides of the screen are blackening. You'll get that a lot of times as you're coming off of one of the stimulants, which we'll cover in another video. Painkillers, you'll see things like almost more clearly. So that's what that little meditation symbol is. Ignore pain, ignore fractures. Dehydration, looks like a desert. Fatigue, you're hungry. Overweight, that's important because you won't be able to jump as high, you won't be able to run as fast. You'll be louder is probably one of the biggest things, and you'll drain your stamina faster. Also, your stamina won't regenerate quite as fast. You almost have to just stop. Critically overweight, you cannot sprint, and max stance height is reduced. Even crawling will drain your stamina. Basically, there you need to either drop stuff or potentially have a mule, another stimulant to help you out. You're gonna have fatigue from being overweight, so you'll drain energy faster. Intoxication, radiation exposure, disorientation are ones that we do not know the impact yet. Stun, basically you can't hear anything and there's some ringing in your ears. Flash, you can't see. Stim Buff, so this little green symbol means you got some benefit from whatever the stimulant was you took. And then this is basically a debuff, so it's having some negative effect. Berserk, you can see a little better, kind of like a painkiller. And then Unknown Toxin, again, something that's not fully implemented yet, although cultist knives can poison you, so you need Augmentin to treat that. All right. Now let's get into the meds. So you have all those types of injuries. There are different ways to treat them. First, let's talk about pain. So if you have pain, the reason why you want to address that is there's a couple of them. If that pain is causing a tremor or like you have a fracture and you want to just be able to ignore the pain or the fracture, you take a pain med. So you have these analgin like tablet pills. You have ibuprofen coming in a bottle. You have a morphine injector and then Augmentin. Augmentin is more so for if you have a toxin in you. If you have pain, you really want to try and use ibuprofen, morphine, or analgin. The negative effect of these is that they do impact hydration. These tablets are the worst as far as that goes, but ibuprofen and morphine are not quite better. But a lot of times you'll see people take these before they get into a battle or before they're getting into any sort of engagement, or if they're going to jump off something where they know they'll break their legs, because then they can keep moving. And if they're getting shot, they don't flinch quite as much. So you'll hear people talk about pre-medding, and they'll use some of these. Now let's get on to the bleeds. So for a light bleed, remember we have these blood droplets. A bandage will remove that. This is a two-time use bandage. So either of those will help a light bleed, and that is it. Single use, double use. This right here, let's see. Yeah, we'll come down to heavy bleed first. Okay, a heavy bleed, you need either one of these little pink circles, ES mark. A hemostat has 3 use, or a tourniquet, 1 use. So this and this have 1 use, and this has 3 uses. They'll all stop a heavy bleed. All right. Now for just healing your HP. So let's say your arm is down to like 20 out of 60. You can use, we call it a piece of cheese, or AI2 medkit, has 100 points. So it can help 100 points worth there. A car kit can help with 220. So a car takes up 2 squares and the cheese takes up 1. So a car will help you slightly more than 2 cheese, because 2 cheese would just give you 200 points. Car will give you 220. You have a Salewa, which gives you 400 points and will take up 2 slots as well. Now both the car and Salewa can also help with light bleeds, but a Salewa will help with a heavy bleed. In IFAC and AFAC, IFAC takes up 1 square and does 300 HP points, and AFAC will do 400 health points. Both of those will help light bleeds and heavy bleeds. So they're all useful for multiple things. However, it's good to know that any of these, if you were to use them to address the bleeds, takes more of the HP away from that usage. So this has 300 points. Let's say you have like 30 out of 60 that you need to heal, but you also had to stop a bleed. It might take away like 20 plus the 30 in order to do that. So ideally, you're going to use your bandages or your like hemostats to stop the bleeds. The big mammoth jammoth for meds is the Grizzly. Okay? So the Grizzly can stop light bleeds, heavy bleeds, address a fracture, help contusions, and help pain. And it has 1,800 HP, but takes up 4 squares. If you have a gamma for a pouch, it's not a bad choice to run in there, because it can heal you a lot. It takes more time, but it'll do the job for sure. A lot of times people keep these in their stash to heal their bodies after they get in from raid, because you can get some XP from healing with these even out of raid, compared to after level 5, you can pay therapist to just heal you from whatever your damage was, and she'll heal it, but you get no XP from that. Below level 5, you can do it for free. So it's worthwhile to just keep leveling your health to heal with the meds if you're able to. Obviously, if you're new to the game, you don't have a lot of confidence, or you don't have a lot of meds, you maybe want to just pay, but make that decision yourself. Other ways to address the fracture besides the Grizzly is a splint has a single use. You have an aluminum splint, which has 5 uses. Those are probably your smarter ones there. The Grizzly, again, if you're using it for the bleeds or the fracture, will take more of the points away from the 1,800 there. Now you also have, let's say one of those limbs is blacked out, okay? Again, arms and legs, you can do this. Stomach, thorax, head, you can't. You have your CMS kit or your Serve 12 kit. Both of them will repair a blackened limb, and the CMS kit will give partial, I think it's like 60% of the HP back. So let's say it's 60 was the base amount. Maybe you'll get like 38 points or 28, or it's a lower percentage. The Serve 12 kit, which takes up 3 slots, that will give you like 80% or 90% of what the HP previously was. Now, once you complete your surgery, which does take a while, and you cannot move while doing it, it will return at 1 HP out of whatever the new range is. So originally it was 60 out of 60, limb got blackened out, and you won your battle and you need to do surgery. You perform surgery with the kit, and maybe it gets up to like 1 out of 27. Well, after you've repaired it, now you need to apply the health to it. That's when you'd come back to like your cheese, your car kit, your Salewa, IFAC, whichever one you brought with you. And that'll boost it up, because if you leave it at the 1 out of 30, all it takes is 1 tap from a bullet and it's back to blackened out, and the damage is getting dispersed to the rest of the body. We also have these two items, the Vaseline and the Golden Star. They both can be used to address pain, and even the Golden Star can help with contusions as well. The benefit of the Golden Star is that it increases hydration and energy recovery temporarily, but overall drops energy. And Vaseline will drop both energy and hydration. So you'll hear people taking these sometimes before they come to rush you in a battle. But they're very useful. There are other pre-meds that people use as well. Overall, if you know you're going to be getting into a fight, it's not a bad idea to take one. Just know you're going to be hurting your hydration at a certain point. So that's the overall use of these meds. There's a bunch of injectors as well, which can be extremely useful, which we'll cover in another video. But I want to get back to the screen here. So everyone has a pouch, okay? If you have the base version of the game, it's a 2x2 square. If you have, I think the second level, I believe it's 2x3. And if you have the EOD edition, it is 3x3. So you have to decide what meds you want to keep in your pouch. All right. I right now have a Salewa, CMS kit, and a splint. So this will take care of my fractures. This will perform surgery for me. And this will do my HP. To stop bleeds, this could do it, but I don't want to waste this on stopping bleeds because then it's not going to help me as much with my HP. I have a hemostat here to address that. And what's nice as well is if you put it here and hotkey it, so I'm going to throw this up here as well. Let's say I get into battle and I'm bleeding. I just hit 4 and immediately I start applying my hemostat to stop the bleed. Once that's been finished, then I can hit 5. So all I did here was I drag this to the number and it hotkeys it. I can hit the 5 then to start healing. Or if I have a fracture, I can hit 6. You cannot do that from your pouch. So I can't drag this here. It has to be out of your body. And the problem with that is if it's in your pockets or in your rig, if you've been killed, you will lose it. Your pouch, on the other hand, if you die, like you're keeping what's in there. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do with keeping in your pouch. If you're new to the game, it's probably not a bad idea to keep your meds in there just because, you might die and you don't want to keep losing your meds when it's something that can more easily be replaced, especially since you can't put magazines in there. Again, what you decide, let's say you are low level and you have a 2x2, I might go with like something to stop the bleeds up in my pockets, a CMS kit, and then maybe a car or a couple cheeses, or maybe I put one cheese in there, the CMS kit, and something to stop a heavy bleed. With the bigger pouch, I have a little more flexibility. So I've got some extra bullets in here. I have my docs case with some keys. I have an injector case with some different injectors. Again, we'll talk about the importance of that in another video. I think the big thing to recognize is just knowing what heals you need. So you always want something to help with the HP, which could be your cheese, it could be your car kit, your Salewa, IFAK, AFAK, or Grizzly. You want something to stop a bleed, which could be your Salewa, it could be IFAK, AFAK, it could be hemostat, ES Mark. For light bleeds, you might need a bandage. You might want something for a fracture. You might want something for a CMS kit. And then it's up to you if you want to bring something for pain meds. So in here, I've got different types of pain meds depending on what I want to bring in. Oh yeah, I was going to show you. So the Serve 12 kit. So this is the better surgical kit, 15 uses, and it restores more like 80 to 90% of your damaged limb. You can see it takes up 3 spots versus this takes up just 2. So it's one of the downsides is like you got to just determine what's worth it or not. But that does take care of fractures as well. The Serve 12 kit versus a CMS does not. So you could argue bring that, not bring the splint, and maybe be in a better place. Yeah. If you guys have any specific questions about the health system, how to manage it, or anything I can help with, feel free to leave a comment and or shoot me a message, and see about helping you out. Thank you. Keep it weird.